decide to participate in this study abroad program, we're going to be offering 2 courses, Psych 132, Psychology and Culture, and that's required if you have not taken it. If you have already taken Psych and Culture, you don't have to take it if you enroll for microeconomics.
Yes.
However, if you don't want to take microeconomics, then you can take Psych and Culture. You can retake Psych and Culture, and we'll work out with you because we understand that you already took the class. So we'll kind of like adapt it to make sure that you are meeting goals. So let me start with slow living, describing what it is. It's a lifestyle that emphasizes 3 things primarily. Being mindful, that means being aware on a moment-by-moment basis without judging things, either positively or negatively, just being a little bit more open, objective, and observing about reality. We focus on quality of experiences, quality of relationships, quality of products, quality of food. This study abroad program is not going to be a place or a trip to go fast from touristy location to touristy location, taking selfies, jumping on a bus and running. No, we're actually going to go to one particular place primarily, a city called Perugia, and we're going to really, really get to know that place well. And we're going to live the rhythms of the city for 2 weeks. There's going to be some components that are not going to be slow living. For example, when we go to Rome, Rome is crazy. So during Rome, we're going to have to adjust. We're going to have to pick up the pace. The travel itself by airplane, it's not slow living at all. There's nothing slow about that. So there's going to be some components, but overall, what we want to share with you is being able to unplug and be in a medieval town where you can really understand what it means to live more by doing less. That's the experience that we want you to have. On Wednesday, I talked about the psychology of this. So I'm going to summarize in a nutshell. Fear of missing out is this way of making decisions on a day-to-day basis that focuses on what we don't have. And this type of decision-making is very instinctive, is based on avoiding threats or seeking rewards without being very intentional about it, is the mind on autopilot. When we live our lives primarily basing ourselves on this decision-making process, we have a tendency to gravitate towards negativity and stress. This is not very good for our mental health. This is not very good for our physical health. When we activate the system of decision-making, we are sleep deprived, we lack exercise, we're mindless, we eat pretty badly, we wind up spending a lot of time doing the things that are not necessarily the things that are going to help us achieve the goals that we want to achieve. The second system, system 2, is based on being more present, and it's about the joy of missing out, making sure that you tune many of the things that are out there that are not really going to help you. It's a much more slower, more logical, more intentional, deliberate way to make decisions. So what we want to accomplish with this study abroad program is to help you really get in tune with that so that you can begin to create habits that are going to promote your health and your well-being and that are going to help you achieve the long-term goals that you want to achieve. Please stop me at any point if you would like to ask me any particular questions. So Professor there is helping us mind the chat. This is a picture I took of in Assisi. This is the Basilica of San Francis. It's one of the sites that we will be visiting. One of the things that I want to emphasize before we go into the details of the study abroad program is why study abroad? Why is this important? Why is this beneficial to you? Well, it turns out that people that study abroad experience personal growth and personal development. In this particular case, we're going to focus on learning to be more mindful, learning to be more aware. But in general, study abroad experiences allow people to build adaptability, to be more independent, to build on their cross-cultural communication skills. The program is going to be fully in English. However, if you're interested in learning some Italian, or if you already started that process, we can help you with that as well. I am now fluent in Italian, and you'll see me interacting with people over there, maybe with other students from other institutions as well. And Maddie's just in. And so if you're interested in that, maybe you start now. Maybe you download the free version of Duolingo, and maybe you start practicing your skills, and you get to practice them when you go over there. We're going to emphasize becoming reflective and making sure that you're keeping in mind your own professional growth. So I took this picture in the Umbra Institute when I visited at Perugia. And do you guys notice that something's missing there? What's missing in this picture? Somebody in the chat? We're missing this. Yeah. So when we go there as a group, we get to post our banner in their wall. Do you notice any familiar colleges? Both ASU and U of A go there. We would be the first community college in their history to go to this particular site. Perugia is college town, and it's known for, I'm thinking in Italian right now, so for receiving and welcoming students. So I will be very proud to put this banner over there and to bring students. Our students will actually get to interact with students from other colleges and universities, from Harvard, from Stanford, from U of A. That could be a good professional opportunity for you as well. This is a picture I took outside of a restaurant that we will be visiting. This is a picture of my son looking out from a window at a historic church in a city called Orvieto. You will be exposed to the Italian experience. You will be exposed to the architecture. You will be exposed to daily routines, to the food, to how people socially connect, to the rhythms, because you will be living in there kind of like as a local for 2 weeks. You will be participating in local events. You will be participating in community activities. We're actually going to have a guest speaker who actually is a person that is helping to create a network of farmers that are bringing their products to farmers market and are linking to restaurants in town that have something called the 0 kilometer pledge, meaning that all of the items that people are eating that day were actually brought from the garden fresh from the same day. So, and you'll be able to taste that food and have that experience. And by the way, those on my talk on Wednesday, I talked about luxury food and gourmet food and all of that. But in this particular town, you can eat a high quality food at a very reasonable cost, because the cost of living here is pretty accessible. You'll get a chance to experience some of that culture, family culture, community, enjoyment of the rhythms of a small town. Perugia as a town is kind of like a really nice combination. It actually is a town of 150,000 people, but you will be living in the historic center, which feels like a really, really small town. So you'll have that experience. You will be living in apartments that are located no more than 10 minutes walking distance to the center where we will be holding our sessions. Hopefully you'll get to experience il dolce far niente. That means the sweetness of doing nothing, being able to actually relax, being able to contemplate, being able to sit and look at people, or maybe walk at a slow pace while enjoying a gelato. You'll be very familiar with spaces like this because Umbria, which is the state where Perugia is located, is kind of like the green heart of Italy. It's very green all around. It has beautiful landscapes and mountains and fields. So it's actually, the air is very clean. Perugia is located at the top of a mountain. There's a lot of breeze. Even in the summer, you do get a break because of the location. Professional advantages for doing study abroad program. This will enhance your resume, your vita, your curriculum vita. You'll get to tell employers that you experience a cultural immersion experience. They understand and they actually actively look for people that have that, because people that have been able to experience those type of events and activities are more likely to have the ability to take multiple perspectives, to be better listeners, to use that as being engaged in problem solving. They're much more culturally competent. You'll have an in-depth understanding of local Italian business operations because Professor Zaire is actually going to describe that in detail. Even if you don't take the microeconomic class, you'll also get a lot of that in the Sec and Culture course. You will also become exposed to international businesses and organizations. We will be visiting some of them. In particular, we're going to take you to visit the factory of a chocolate maker called Perugia. Has anybody ever seen that chocolate that is called Baci? Like Kisses, but it looks a little bit bigger, or Perugina chocolate. When you go into stores, you may start recognizing some of this. So they're actually a very successful international company that started small and still is able to implement some of those sustainability principles into their practices, into the way they treat their employees, into the way they continue to grow. The duration of the trip is actually 18 days total. We depart Sunday, May 11 from Phoenix, and we arrive back at Phoenix May 29. Just to give you a picture of like the entire length of the trip. This is a picture I took in Rome. You will be able to actually walk in this bridge and have those sights when we go to Rome. Let me break that a little bit down. And this is kind of like when reality hits the road, right? We will be departing on Sunday, May 11 from Phoenix. Well, actually, you will be departing independently because by then we will be there in Perugia. We'll be waiting for you in Perugia. You'll be departing independently. We recommend that you depart. We'll give you kind of like flights and recommendations, but you will be departing from Phoenix to the East Coast, most likely, is what we recommend. You can also do like a connection in Texas, but what that does is that it actually extends your flight from Texas to Rome. That turns out to be like a 10-hour, 11-hour flight. If you go to the East Coast, it's a lot more manageable because from here to the East Coast is 5 hours. Then you have your layover, and then it's about 8 hours to Rome. Once you arrive in Rome, you're not done yet. There will be 2 buses, one in the morning, one in the middle of the day, that will take you to Perugia, and that's another 2.5 to 3 hour bus ride. By the time you get to Perugia, you're going to be exhausted, and you're going to be jet lagged. So we built into that the first day when you arrive into Perugia, we have some activities for you, and we want you to be active. We'll help you understand how to beat jet lag. That will be probably the most difficult part of this whole study abroad experience, that first arrival to Perugia. Once you're in Perugia, we will be there for 2 weeks. We're not going to be doing a lot of, and you will be assigned into your apartments right away. We'll have a welcome dinner for you. Well, if you don't have an international cell phone program, there'll be a vendor there that will help you make sure to set up your phone, because it is required for you to have a working cell phone, and it is required for you to download the Umbra app. It's an app that is there to give you support and to make sure that we know that you're safe at all times. We are not going to be able to pin your exact location, but we will be able to know where you are within 5-mile radius. That's in case of like some type of emergency, or
separate or something.
if we get separated or something like that. If we're waiting for you at the bus and you're still not showing up, we should be able to contact you. So it is required that you have an international plan. We'll have more information on that. You should not pay more than $50 for that plan. I know some companies are more expensive than others. So if your provider is very expensive, don't worry, we'll take care of you. We have an Italian provider that you can use, and they'll have a representative there to help you. On the way back, it's a lot easier because we're not departing from Perugia. We will be departing from Rome. So that cuts down that bus trip. So it's 8 hours or 9 hours back to the East Coast, and then 5 hours back to Phoenix. And that's not taking into account the layover. But you need to know, we want to say this up front, because for some of you, this will be like, oh no, this is a deal breaker.
Right.
I just can't handle that. I will not be able to be on an airplane for 9 hours. So if you know yourself and you know that's not for you, then this may be where you say like, you know what, nice idea, but not for me. Maybe I'll go to the Costa Rica study abroad program. By the way, like 11 study abroad programs with different, so there's one that goes to England. The France one, I don't think is happening this year, but Ireland is happening. Namibia in Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just about ready to go.
Yeah.
They're their last
yes,
setup
exactly.
with that.
Okay, so these are the places that we're going to visit. We're going to go to Perugia, and that's where we're going to spend most of our time. We'll visit the town of Assisi on a day trip. We go from Perugia to Assisi and we come back on the same day. We do spend the whole day in Assisi. On a different day, we'll go to a lake close by to Perugia called Lake Trasimeno. That is the biggest lake inland in the center of Italy. That's more kind of like a leisure day of activities. You can rent kayaks, you can rent bikes, you can go jogging, but we'll see kind of like a different type of landscape, different towns. We reach that lake with public transportation or by public transportation. We go back to Perugia. And then the last 3 days we will be in Rome, and that's where the pace is going to pick up. And then you'll get to see a lot of the famous sites in Rome. We're going to take you to the Colosseum. We're going to take you to the Vatican. We're going to take you to St. Peter's Basilica and to the Vatican Museum. You'll see the work of Michelangelo, Raffaello. You're going to see work by Da Vinci. Rome is incredible. So we'll say kind of like the best for last in a way.
And you said 3 days in Rome? 3
So
days?
it's actually, we'll be there 2 nights, 2 full days. On the 3rd day, we actually just have a breakfast and go to the airport. So that doesn't really count. It's actually 2 full days in Rome. So you get to go there. So this is the total cost of the program. So it's going to be 6,500 plus or minus. So that is kind of like the sticker shock. We want you to understand that that's the total cost that we expect, including everything, absolutely everything, including food, transportation, everything. It will wind up being something like that. The program fee is $3,895. That's just the program fee. That's the amount that Chandler-Gilbert would receive. Separately from the tuition that you pay. If you're only taking 1 class, it'll be 306. If you're taking 2 classes, it'll be double that. The airfare, this is one of the places where you really can save. So if you get accepted into the program early and you book your flight right away, you can actually find flights for as low as 1,400. That's possible. I actually, one time I got it for 1,200, but I really hustled and was able to find a really good deal because I did it early on. Good news, when we go to Italy, it's not high tourist season, so you should be able to find a very reasonable airfare. When we go to Rome, we would beat a lot of the crowds because the crowds begin to really arrive in June, July, August. It's a madhouse, especially July. July is just full with tourists and hot. When we go there, the weather should be nice. There's a new travel authorization fee of $8 that the European Union is about to apply. It hasn't gone into effect yet, but we are expecting that. We do not provide food for you except for a couple of meals that we will be doing day 1 and then like a departure dinner. We might be able to put off something else, but we are working on that. But pretty much your daily intake of food, it's on your own. In your apartment, you'll have a fully functioning kitchen, you'll have a refrigerator, and we would actually be taking you to the places where you can shop. And we will be, as part of the experience, we will be giving you some tips and recipes in terms of local products that we recommend, places where you can save money. Since the idea is about slow living, we actually recommend that you engage with food and that you learn at least a few recipes. Maybe you can come back with 5 recipes that you now know that you can incorporate into your life. So that's actually part of the experience that we want you to have. We'll model some of that. We will get to share lunch in Italy. in Perugia in particular can be very inexpensive, and you can find very high quality food. So you can, let's say, for example, easily eat what would be equivalent to a sandwich. They call it piadas because it's actually made with a different type of flour, not bread, with a drink for about $8. So the two things together. So lunch shouldn't be very expensive. You can also have similar alternatives for dinner. If you want to go into a more sit-down restaurant, it could climb up all the way to $20. We will not recommend you to go to luxury restaurants because there is no need for that. There's plenty of choices, but you can have a pretty fancy, authentic Italian dinner for $20 on an evening. Maybe you can treat yourself a couple of times. There are some additional costs. For example, if you don't have a passport, you may have to process that. We're going to share some information with you because there are scholarships that may help you pay for your passport. So that's another of the places where you can save. You will need an international plan. I am not sponsored by T-Mobile, but T-Mobile has a really good deal. You just call them and you tell them, I'm going to be in Italy from this time to this time. And for $45, they give you 15 gigabytes the moment you land. It's on and you don't have to do anything. So T-Mobile is really good at that. I think AT&T is very expensive. I think Verizon is very expensive. So for those of you who have those type of providers, we would have, I think it's Vodafone, I believe, who will be there, or Tim, I forget. There'll be a representative there who can help you get a SIM card into your phone. They'll help you program it. They'll give you that technical support in one place. You don't have to like hustle or anything like that. And it'll be around $45 to $50. If you take econ, you may have to pay for access to a courseware, but that fee doesn't apply if you're only taking the second culture class.
It's only $25.
It's only $25.
And both of our textbooks are free.
Yeah, but oh, that's huge. So for both second culture and economics, you don't have to pay for textbooks because they're built into the course in Canvas. None of the courses I teach, none of the courses that Professor Zer teaches include textbook cost. That's something called OER, Open Educational Resources. We're really big on that in the psychology department and the economics department. Any questions popping up?
No, nothing yet. Everyone's still out there?
Yeah, I feel like I'm doing an infomercial. I don't know why. So, another picture I took. So I'll tell you a quick story. My last name is Romero, and Romero means a person that goes to Rome. So since I was a child, I always wanted to go to this place. And when I went to this particular place, I got chills because this is the Roman Forum. This is pretty much Rome.
List. Yeah.
This is the place. This is where senators and emperors used to actually hold. You will be walking here. You would actually hear the stories of Julius Caesar, of Augustus, of Tiberius. So I know a little bit of Italian history, but we will have a tour guide who speaks English, walk you through this. And in the back, you see the Colosseum. I just think that this is spectacular. This is spectacular. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. How do you pay for this program? So you can always play the lottery. That helps.
I don't advocate for that.
Yeah, you can also save up. You can set up a payment plan through Chandler-Gilbert. The earliest you get accepted into the program, the easier it will be for you to pay for it because they can spread out payments for you. So you can set up a payment plan and we'll help you with that. That will make it a lot easier. And this is for those $3,895. We cannot put like your airfare on a payment plan or anything like that. It's just for that portion of the trip. You can use your financial aid for the course tuition and for the fees. So there's a payment plan available as well for that portion. That's only a small fraction, but I think every little bit helps. The Gilman scholarships are due March 6th. The first round of Gilman scholarships just passed October 10. We couldn't make that because the program got approved. We did share the information with some of the students that we knew were very interested, and some of them apply, and they'll be able to hear sooner. But you can still apply for the Gilman scholarship that is due on March 6th. However, if you get the scholarship, it will be a reimbursement because it's kind of like a late date. This is the first time that we're doing the Perugia program. So that's why, unfortunately, we couldn't get approval in time to meet the October 10 deadline, but this is still a source that you can tap on, and that could be up to $5,000. If you're an honor student and you get accepted into the program, you can apply for the study abroad scholarship, and it's relatively easy. Pretty much if you're an honor student and you apply for the scholarship, pretty much
In your application.
very high probability that you'll get it. And then there is the IIE American Passport Grant, and these links we will be sharing this presentation with all of you. These links are active, so you can access them from here, or you can also visit our website at Study Abroad. If you go to the GCC website and you type Study Abroad, you can go into our site and you can find all of these links. Any questions at all?
So I'll say a couple things.
Yes,
then.
thank you.
So the Gilman has 2 scholarships. One is Gilman, the other one is Gilman McCain. And McCain is for veterans and veteran dependents and family of veterans. And then the IIE passport, if you don't have a passport, they can help with the 165. The only thing is it's only for 5 students. So we compete with all the study abroad programs. Good thing is that we're early. And so if you know that that's what you want to do, then that form there will take you, that link there will take you to their form, and then get everything started with that.
But there is nothing stopping us for being all 5 students.
Exactly.
This is a beautiful picture of the main square at Perugia fountain. You'll get to hear all about the history, the timeline. But this picture has a specific significance. In the background, this building that you see used to be a convent for sisters, Catholic sisters, and is the Umbra Institute, is where you will be taking your classes with us, where you will be learning second culture and economics right in the heart of Perugia. So actually, one of the classrooms that they give us is located around here. I don't remember which floor, if it's the second or the third, but you actually can see the square from outside the window. And it's just beautiful. So you're like taking classes and you hear like the bells ringing in the background. It's just something else. It's very special. Okay, so let's break things down a little bit so you can have an idea in terms of the timeline. May 11th, we depart the US, or you depart the US. You arrive in Rome in the morning, all jet lagged and tired. You climb on a bus and you arrive to Perugia, where we will be waiting for you. The Umbra Institute will actually welcome you and walk you to your apartments. Then we meet, we have an orientation dinner, we work with your cell phones to make sure everybody has the Umbra app active. Actually, important, make sure that we'll give you all of these tips, but it's very important that you bring a European charger, because it's a completely different plug. So if you bring this plug here, you're going to be in trouble. But we'll give you all those tips on a pre-departure talk. So once we get to Perugia and you're settled, May 13th, we will be having classes Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to around 12 noon. We'll talk about psychology, microeconomics, we'll talk about art, we'll talk about architecture, we'll talk about the places that we're about to visit. And we will be, in the afternoon, we will be doing daily excursions. So there's a lot of walking involved in this trip. We'll tell you the specific physical demands that the trip has. We'll have guest lecturers. We'll have an American professor who teaches positive psychology come to talk to us. He lives permanently in Italy. As a matter of fact, when I met him, he was just like surprised because he didn't realize that I could speak Italian, and he's American and I'm Colombian, and we're both speaking in Italian. And we both teach the same courses, so it's a really wonderful experience. So we'll have people like that coming to our courses. The staff at Umbra is exceptional. They'll also come in. If you're interested in learning Italian, we can help you also access classes and resources. You have access to a library. They actually do a podcast in English. So if you want to participate into that, you can actually be interviewed by staff at the Umbra Institute. And I'm pretty sure that they will want to know about your experience, because you're coming from Arizona, you're coming from the first community college. We have a very specific theme that they have never done, which is slow living and slow food. So they're really excited about learning from us and probably doing some exchanges as well. So that's kind of like Monday through Thursday during the time we're in Perugia. Fridays, we may have some travel involved. So for example, most likely we will go to Assisi on a Friday, if not a Saturday. And the same thing for Lake Trasimeno, that's going to be happening either a Friday or a Saturday. We haven't yet finalized those dates, but they'll be happening towards the weekend. And then Sundays, you'll have free days. One of the Fridays and at least one or two of the Saturdays will be free days as well. So you're free to enjoy and visit and really live pretty much on your own. On May 27, really early, bright early in the morning, we say goodbye to Perugia. I just recommend that you don't look back because it's too painful. And then we head to Rome. When we arrive in Rome, we will be arriving at a 4-star hotel. We put all of our luggage in the lobby and we take off and we start visiting sites. And that's going to be like no more slowly because we're going to hit the road. We're going to go to the Colosseum on the first day. We'll do a tour of the Colosseum and when I show you the forum, the local forum, the Roman forum. And then on the second day, we'll get to see other sites like the Trevi Fountain, right? A lot of the beauty about Rome is that you don't really have to spend a lot of time in museums because Rome is a museum in the open. It's just everywhere you go, you're like, yeah. And I have tons of recommendations for really good food that you can find at a very reasonable price. Then May 29, we depart Italy and come back to beautiful Phoenix, Arizona, just in time for the summer. This is a picture of the University for Foreign Students in Perugia. Perugia is known as the city for college students in Italy. So we're taking you to the city that students want to go to study. And it's students from all over the world. As I show you from the United States, it's a pretty popular site. When you live in Perugia, you're going to be in an apartment. Let me see if this link works. So the link takes you to the Umbra Institute. And is this something that looks good it's online? The pictures are really nice. Okay. So these are kind of like the type of apartments that you will have. Pretty simple accommodations. All of these apartments are owned by the Institute and they meet many standards. Sometimes you actually will be staying in historic buildings. Well, not sometimes. Pretty much every historic here is built. But sometimes you actually may be sleeping and looking at art that is medieval and be able to like be in that specific type of scenario. So everything actually meets their standards. They tend to be kind of like a mix of modern with historic flavors. Important thing, none of these apartments have AC, none of them. Because for most of the year, they don't need it. They do give us fans. And if there's a heat wave, it could get a little hot and humid. During the night, even in the hottest days, the temperature does drop significantly. So you should not be feeling uncomfortable ever. But is there a possibility that one night could be a little warmer than you're used to here in Arizona? Yes, it's possible. So you need to also, if you made it through the 9-hour slide, this could be the second place where we drop you because you're like, I am not going anywhere without AC. So in the United States, we're used to ACs and we just assume, and yeah, we crank it up, especially here in Arizona. And we think the rest of the world is the same way. That's not the case in Europe, right? Germany or France or not even England. Very few people have central air conditioning on a regular basis. Maybe in the South they do because the South is a lot warmer, but Perugia is not hot. Perugia is not hot ever. In May is not really hot. I should have said that. July and August, it does get hot, but in May it's very unlikely. That's what I should have said. Possible? With climate change these days, everything's possible, unfortunately. Questions about lodging?
Nothing yet.
I must be doing just a fantastic job.
You are.
I did have a question.
Yes, please.
They're shared, but I see on there that they are shared accommodations, so we'll have like a roommate.
You have plenty of roommates.
Yeah, okay. So
Because-
how many people
Yeah,
would typically be in?
between 4 and 6.
Oh, wow, okay, in one apartment, but we would have our own bed.
Yeah, you have
Oh,
your own
okay.
bed. So, and if you have 6 people, it's probably going to be at least 2 rooms, 3 rooms, most likely. Like the maximum of people sleeping in one room is going to be 3 people, and everybody has their own space. So it's going to be more like a college dorm type of experience. However, if you are willing to pay for extra accommodations, they can actually make it happen for you. If you want to have your own villa, your own Italian villa, they'll make it happen for you. If you want a very limited number of people, they will accommodate. Sometimes they may be able to accommodate without paying extra because of the combination. We're going kind of like at a slow season, so they'll be more flexible with us. They'll actually be doing kind of like interviews. They have a system to figure out who goes with whom. Like, for example, they don't put night owls with early birds because that just doesn't work really well. They try to take into account age. They do take into account gender. If you have like a gender absolute demand, they'll respect that. If you're comfortable with a mixed gender, and that's usually, they explain to me that mixed gender is usually something that people request because they may actually be going with a friend. So so they don't have a hard rule, but for the most part, people are matched by gender. Oh, we have a question. So will our roommates we all be from the same program? Not necessarily. So it is possible that you actually may have a mix of people that are from a different program as well. Good question. I actually think that's actually really good. Yeah, that's one of the things that I like that they do. And so the beauty of using a third party is that they actually help you a lot. So if things are not working, you're not going to stay there 2 weeks like prison in one apartment with a person that you actually cannot stand. They'll work with you and they'll shuffle you around. Obviously, we should be fair with them as well, but those things don't happen and they are used to it. They actually have counselors available for you 24/7. So if you're like not feeling well, if you want to talk to somebody, if you're getting into culture shock, obviously you can talk to your instructors. I mean, I'm a psychologist, but I am not a clinical psychologist, so I cannot do therapy for you, but they actually have somebody that can help you. There'll be, if you have any emergencies, you just use your app and you let us know right away. You will be safe at all times with us. We put a premium on safety, good communication. This is a really well-established institute, so this is not their first rodeo, and they have this down to a science. Any other questions? Good question. You get extra credit for the question online. Thank you. And Ashley for the question here. Everywhere you go, you should have Wi-Fi. Your apartments have Wi-Fi, and Italian Wi-Fi is the same as here. In many cafes or restaurants, they have Wi-Fi. When we go to the hotel and room, they'll have Wi-Fi. The only times you're not going to have Wi-Fi is when we go from place to place, but you will have your cell phone access since you have your international plan, and that should be okay. That should be fine. We're also going to unplug from our cell phone, so you should not be like the media monster in Italy because that's not gonna work. So this is the Umbra app. There's a link here to the app. You are required to download it from day one. You have a lot of resources in the institute. You have pretty much library computers that you can access to do research and all of that. We do recommend that you bring a laptop. If you don't have a laptop, let us know and we can work with you to help you get a loaner from here. But we think you should be bringing a laptop since we're going to be studying in Italy. You'll be doing a lot of work. So yeah, that's important.
I'm rushing, but we're almost at the end of our time.
Oh my gosh.
It's been wonderful conversations.
Oh my goodness. So another picture. We will be, oh, we have another question? No. Okay, so if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask. The cohort is going to be very small. We're only going to bring about 12 people. If there is like a lot of interest, and we would be bringing up to 15, but no more than that. Because this is a very specific type of experience, and we want you to actually have a very close sense of community. So if you're really interested in that, in this, please apply early, is my recommendation. So the application process, please preview the application. It's actually not very difficult to complete the application. Let me show you what the application looks like. Oh, I closed the window. So this is the letter of recommendation, and this is the application. So it's a PDF that you download and you fill as a PDF. You don't need to use any type of software. You don't even need to print it out. You can just fill it right out of there. We ask you if you have any needs for accommodations. So it's a pretty straightforward application. We do require that you write a short essay, a minimum 300 words. And in the slides, we actually have recommendations on how to write that essay. We do ask for 2 letters of recommendation. They're very easily filled out by your instructors or advisors or your mentors, whoever you are going to ask. But this is a requirement to get accepted, to get those letters of recommendation. We actually will be enrolling in an 8-week course online, either the second culture, the economics, or both. And that begins on April 14th. So notice April 14th is spring. It's in the middle of the spring. So we actually begin classes before we depart. And there is 1 more week after your arrival, so that you can finish any documents that you're working on. So you will be working on the course for 8 weeks, even though you're only going to be there for 2.5 weeks. More beautiful pictures. Apply now. Beautiful pictures. What are we looking for in our candidates when we're looking at your essays? Are you able to flesh out whether your future personal and professional academic goals? What are your ideas about participating in this program in terms of personal growth? What would you like to achieve by being in a broad experience like this? So we ask you that you reflect onto those things. Again, you'll have this information because we'll share it with you. This trip does have some demands. The number 1 is physical. You will be required to carry all of your luggage. We're not going to be able to carry any luggage for anybody. We will not have any staff or anybody be able to carry luggage for you. We will teach you on how to pack and make sure that you can travel comfortably. In addition to carrying your own luggage, you should be expected to walk about 10,000 steps on a daily basis, if not more. When we go to Rome, you'll walk a lot more. Will we enroll in the classes as a summer course? It's kind of like a spring course.
So we in the spring will cross over into the summer.
Oh.
And then I'll just put out there that other question about the airfare and flights. So booking independently, but once we get the cohort set, we'll look to see like when most are taking the flight. So 1, it's easier for Umbra to facilitate the bus trip from the Rome airport to Perugia. But that's a coordination among the group themselves. We're not doing that part, but we're facilitating.
We can facilitate. I can tell you individually a lot of tips and tricks. We're out of time, so if you need to log off, feel free to do that. If you need to walk out, I'm not going to take it personal. If you would like to remain, I can continue describing things. Just give me a thumbs up or some type of signal if that's okay to continue. Is it okay for us to continue? Okay, so let's do another 15 minutes. Yep, you guys are wonderful. Thank you so much. So when we go there, we're actually going to be focusing on academic and experiential learning. This trip is not a vacation. So this is the 3rd stop where you can get it. So if you're planning to go on a vacation to just have fun and party, you're going to be very disillusioned because this is not that trip. We're going to be asking you to like meditate, and we're going to take you to fields, and we're going to go on walks, and we're going to see landscapes, and we're going to go to museums, and we're going to stop and really understand pieces of art, architecture. We're going to taste food and like really learn how to eat mindfully, how to be in contact with nature, how to integrate wellness into our life, how to feel gratitude, how to practice patience and calmness, how to value quality over quantity, right? Making sure that you're not like over consuming over there or like buying a bunch of stuff that is just like, yeah. So reduce dependence on technology, less use of screen time. You actually are going to look at a lot of people's faces. We're going to have conversations. We're going to have meals together. We're going to play games together. We need people that are okay with that, people that are adaptable, people that are flexible, and people that are willing to integrate simplicity. That makes sense? That's the experience. But this might not be for you, and that's perfectly fine. There's other programs that do other stuff. And we recommend, we have a lot of really good programs. Okay. Another beautiful picture. So these are due dates. Let's work them backwards. So on April 4th, you really need to have paid in full your balance, those $3,895. So to be able to do that, you need to have completed your payment plan, because at this time we need to pay the Umbra Institute for all the accommodations for all the things that they're going to be doing for us, transportation and all that. So to be able to do that by February 7th, we need your final day. This is the final day to make your deposit of $375. So you first need to get accepted to a program. Once you get accepted, you can make your deposit, and your deposit is to hold your spot. Remember, we have 12 spots only. We may be willing to take up to 15, but we prefer at this point to be more around 12 spots. The deposit is non-refundable after February 7th. So if something happens and you fall out of the program, we actually have to pay the Umbra Institute for the accommodations that they are creating that we're not able to fulfill. That means that by February 6th is the last day where you can get your money back. If you selected a spot and you're holding a spot, so February 6th is the last day that you can tell us, never mind, I figure out that this is not for me. Moving backwards, January 13 is the final application deadline, last call for applications. By December 2nd, we would have already considered early applications. And from today to November 22nd, we will be holding these information sessions, and we will be accepting applications, and we will be conducting interviews on a rolling basis. So if you want to apply today, now you can apply. And Professor Sayre is going to share the link to the application. You'll be the first ones to have access to that application. Yes, to lay some of these applications. We will be sending the application materials out to the world later on today. And on Monday, they will be available on our website, the Study Abroad website. So you'll get the applications right now, right?
Yes.
You're getting the applications and the letters of reference, the links. Please download those.
Want to coordinate with who you're going to request your letter of recommendations, give them some time to complete the form, and just secure that. So
Yeah.
That's coming.
If you know for sure you're going to do this, please access them right away. Give them at least 2 weeks of notice for the letters of recommendation. People can do them very fast, but as a courtesy, we recommend that you give them at least 2 weeks notice.